this. After this, we got the best damn thing on WWE television this week, and probably in a while. We had Roman Reigns going one-on-one with Buddy Murphy. And this was an absolutely excellent match. Murphy and Reigns, they go back and forth with great strike exchanges throughout the match. Toward the finish of this match, Roman goes for a spear, but gets a kick to the shoulder as he runs in, followed by two big knee strikes from Murphy and a brain buster for a great near fall. Murphy goes to the top rope but gets punched off and falls to the floor. Roman comes out with the Superman punch, jumping off the steps, gets him in the ring, hits spear, gets the 1-2-3, and Reigns was very giving to Murphy, and he sold his ass off for Buddy on the stuff that he did. And Buddy obviously returned the favor. He did when that spear came in, he flipped himself upside down, and throughout the match, Roman was just stunned almost that he wasn't able to put Murphy away. And it was, and at the end of the match, Roman even just gives slight little nod of respect. And it reminded me so much of The Undertaker versus Jeff Hardy from 2002 when they did the ladder match. And, I think the thing was that in the promo, Undertaker said that, he'd beat Jeff so bad that he wouldn't be able to walk afterwards. And so the match comes, and Undertaker just beat the living hell out of him. And, easily ends up winning. But, Jeff has a brief comeback, but then Undertaker puts him back down. And then after the match, Jeff gets on the mic and, he just says, "I'm still standing." And so Undertaker comes back in. You think he's going to beat him up more. But instead he shakes his hand. I think he shakes his hand, but, he gives him a sign of respect. I want to say he shook his hand. Maybe rose his hand even. But he gave him the sign of respect, like Roman did here. And that's why it's important to remember that you can get someone over in defeat just as easily as you can in a loss. And this was a situation with Buddy Murphy that I thought this match did him more favors than anything they could have done. He went toe-to-toe with the top guy of WWE for the past 5 years. He took him to his limits, and even in defeat, he earned his respect. And that's the same thing that happened with Hardy all those years ago. And that's really what, started to launch Hardy into a singles star. And what really started to, make him in the mix more in that main event picture. And, it wasn't until a while later that Hardy actually ended up winning, the WWE title. Probably not until 2008, 2009-ish that he won his first world title, I think. But he ended up being in the picture around that time. And hopefully the same sort of thing can happen with Murphy. And, I'm not sure if the storyline is helping Murphy much, because we'll get to what happened with him later. He's just getting tossed around and as a pawn in this Roman Reigns saga. But once you get in the ring, Murphy showed what he's capable of. And you go back to Super Showdown, not Saudi Super Showdown, but Australia Super Showdown in 2018. I said at the time on the podcast that, I thought that was a truly star-making performance for Buddy Murphy. And that was, of course, the Cruiserweight Championship match against Cedric Alexander. What I believe is, excluding the Cruiserweight Classic, the best main roster pay-per-view Cruiserweight match that they've had. I think that match at Super Showdown was with Murphy and Alexander. And it was in Buddy's, I believe his hometown, if not his home country, but I believe it was his hometown of Melbourne. And, the embrace he got from that crowd and the performance he put on in that match, I thought was, something that would be a star-making performance. But, the problem is that, you're still on 205 Live. You still have the Cruiserweight title. So when you're not in the mainstream's eye on television, it's hard. It would have been hard to really make that a star-making performance. But this, I can see, people starting to really get behind Buddy after this. And I'm a big fan of Buddy Murphy, from what I've seen. I think that he can do a lot of great things, and it's been a shame that it's taken this long since being moved to SmackDown. Like, this was his first match on television. He had the match at SummerSlam against Apollo Crews, which ended in a disqualification when Eric Rowan came in. But this was his first match on SmackDown since being drafted right after WrestleMania. Or shooken up to SmackDown. Whatever the term is that they want to use now. But, yeah. So, it took them 4 months, and then after that, it only took them a couple weeks to make Buddy Murphy look like a legitimate contender. And hopefully that isn't lost in all this. Hopefully we can keep momentum going for Murphy and keep him involved with other things on SmackDown.